What's up everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the semi-finals between Marinelord and Anderson, and we're specifically going to be focusing on Marinelord's French. So whenever we talk about French, we always mention Marinelord's French, Lucifer's French. These players, they are just so good with the civilization because their micro is impeccable. It is not only their build orders that are so clean, unique in a sense as well, it's also what they do in their game. So we're going to start off by taking a look at how this game was so clean in a semi-final, looking like it was just a ladder game for, you know, with a serious imbalance. And now just looking at, okay, what does it mean when top 4 players are now playing against each other and they're still so clean. We're going to look at the game here that was played between Marinelord and Anderson, and then I'll show you the build order that was used by Marinelord so that you can scrim it yourself and practice it yourself in your own games. So let's get into it. So Marinelord plays French versus Byzantines, and this is one of those matchups that goes a little bit like French versus Malians. A lot of infantry from the Byzantine players, Limousinais, possibly javelins, most likely javelins, due to the fact you also get camel riders later. And so it means that, well, the longer the game goes, better for French, right? Because you get more villas, but you don't want to allow the Byzantine player to set up. The Byzantine player cannot farm early. They have to go out on the berries, otherwise they won't get enough mercenaries. And so you will have lots of things to raid. And that's what makes this a really good matchup for French. Over time, it gets better and better for you, and if you can keep the game in feudal, amazing. Once it gets to Castle Age, I think it becomes more difficult for French, though certainly not unplayable. So what is happening? Well, he's going for this early wheelbarrow opener, and I'll of course link the build order in the description so you can check out the timings for that. Early wheelbarrow opener, and he's very greedy with the scouting route, out here checking out how does his opponent open. So his opponent opened with 1 villager on stone here, that's what he sees. And so it's not a super fast system build, it's a little bit slower, which makes sense because as a Byzantine player, you want to get spears out in time to deal with French knights. You cannot go 3 on stone or something like we've been seeing recently, because that's just too slow to get units out, although it gives you a really nice economy. The only problem here for Marinelord is, even though he has the resources to age up now, he's not going to get back in time with food. So scouting route, I will question that a little bit, but other than that, this build is really cool because it gives us an early wheelbarrow and then pro scouts immediately in the feudal age. So very aggressive route. You know, you're always guaranteed to get sheep around your base or your opponent's base, and so if your opponent hasn't scouted this, which we can check, he had, then you will find a lot of sheep here. So just keep that in mind, that it's a gamble to go this aggressive, and you really just want to try to find like the spot. Usually it's around 3 minutes is a good time to get back with sheep, but it depends on if you were dropping off 1 or 2 sheep early on. Anyways, pro player stuff basically. Just, you know, keep it as a rule of thumb to always have sheep. You don't really want to go out in berries. But look at the way that now that he has run out of sheep, the way that he's now mitigating that. He's still using his vills, of course, but he's using it on the straggler trees. And so where you would normally just have 4 aging up, 5 on wood, you are now seeing everyone on wood, gathering all the wood that he needs, and then go back on food immediately after once the sheep drop off. That means that his night timing is off, but he will still get pro scouts early, and instead of getting knights out quicker, he's now getting archers out quicker. So it's not a bad thing. I want to highlight that. Even though it might have been a mistake here, he's still queuing up pro scouts and specialized pick, making use of his resources that he would have otherwise had to use on knights. He's now getting archers out quicker, and he's getting the mining upgrade quicker. So not a bad start, even though he ran out of food. He didn't lose villager production, and yeah, he's just not going to have knights early, so he focuses on scouts and archers. Which is fine, because that's the whole point of this build order, is that you slow down a bit in the early game. You're not trying to hit your opponent immediately, because everyone, especially this level, will have spears ready. And so getting that an early knight strike that in lower leagues will work really well. It's just not going to work against a good player like Anatan, because he will be ready for the first knight. So having archers out like this is amazing. Now you have your scouts. You can take your pro scouts. In a couple of seconds here, it will be done. Then you have archers, so the harassment from the spears here will not be happening. You have archers to defend and take your deers. So you just take your safe deer packs, and there's nothing that your opponent can do until they get their first mercenary pack, which is going to come through now. So you can see Anatan, he's getting his mercenary house, Silk Road mercenary contract, getting javelins, most likely. Yes, javelins. And then he's going to be harassing with that. Now, Marinelord already has a couple of archers, and he's not prioritizing, as you can see, to get the knights out because his opponent just has spears. So he is going to get knights, but it's going to be a little bit later here. So, takes the early deer. Double archer range. This is a very matchup-specific thing. Other matchups, you might want to get more knights out, especially if you're playing against a fast castle civ. It can make a lot of sense to get more knights. Or a civ that has armored units in general. So now the knights start coming out here in about 7 minutes. We've got a couple of archers out. We're floating a bit of resources here, possibly just setting up for more knights, more upgrades, and getting more archers. So pretty straightforward. Nothing too magical happening right now, I guess you could say. He's just getting his blacksmith. This is very typical timing. Around 8 minutes, you should always get your blacksmith. Especially if you're running archers. Get your +1 ranged attack when you're going to face off against javelins. That +1 ranged attack that he's getting right now is going to be absolutely crucial. The +1 ranged attack will make it so that his archers perform way better against the javelins than otherwise. And if his opponent doesn't have ranged armor, so if Anatan didn't research that, you can see he's just getting his blacksmith now with Dialectica, so he is going to get upgrades quite quickly, but he doesn't have it in time if he's going to start fighting now. So having that +1 ranged attack on the archers is just, it's a small thing, but it means that the first engagement you take, where your opponent doesn't have ranged armor, is going to be so much better. So much better. So this engagement here, 3 armor, right? Doesn't mean you have to take it because it's really close to the TC. But if Anatan gets greedy here and wants to fight Marinelord, Marinelord has the +1, right? He gets it now. So he does 3 damage per shot. Instead of if he didn't get the +1 ranged attack and let's say his opponent got the ranged armor, he would be doing 1 damage. So it's 3 times as much damage in the extreme case. Okay. So, more knights coming in, more archers coming in. His opponent was greedy, he saw that, and now he's ready to pounce. He's letting his opponent come even closer. And his opponent sees him now, right? Anatan has seen this army. He just ran past it. So, this fight here that he's about to take is not going to be good. So, okay. We saw the first charge here. I skipped across it briefly. Basically, what he did was he got really close, then he right-clicked the back unit to prompt an instant charge. And that means that the spearmen will not brace. The spears will only brace if you're running at them. But if you get an instant charge, it's not going to happen. And then you get the charge damage and the buff to your first attack afterwards. So that's the first thing that Marinelord does here, micro-wise. Then he's using the archers to kill the spearmen. If they don't brace, they will almost get 1 shot. But if they do brace, of course it's more. Scout goes down. Now the spearmen are pretty much thinned out and the knights can start to attack. That's the dynamic you're looking for here between these units. They work symbiotically in the sense that your knights, they're basically waiting to attack until there is thinned out, until you've thinned out the spearmen. So he uses the archers, kills the spearmen. Once there's too few spears, the knights will go in and clean up the rest. And then once the spears are fully gone and there's only jabs left, you can pull your archers away so that you don't take any more damage and that the javelins just die. So, back and forth all the time, forcing the spearmen to come forward like this. And now it's a cleanup. This is the only engagement you will need if you want to win with French. From here on out, you can just snowball. Because now you're ahead, you have knights. If your opponent ages up, your knights will deal with castle age units because they have such a high base attack. And so you can just stay in feudal at this point. It's a question of should you get castle age more if you are playing against somebody who you haven't taken a good fight against. Because then it's more risky if your opponent ages up and they have a big army. Whereas if your opponent doesn't have much army left, you can just stay in feudal. That's the beauty of playing knights. So double archer range, double stable now, just full production, getting the chivalry. Always get chivalry after the first engagement. You will take an engagement like this in most games, where your opponents are making spears and they want to fight you, and you're taking some good trades, pulling away the damaged knights. That's when you get chivalry. Don't get it before a fight, get it after a fight, because there will be a lot of downtime right now. That's where you would be healing up. Now he sees his opponent is on food, and so he will go out and try to contest this. Now Anatan makes the mistake of garrisoning inside of this tower, and when you see something like this, you should just know that it takes not that many units to torch a tower. If you're up against emergency repairs or system influences, it can take longer, especially emergency repairs from HRE and OTD is incredibly difficult to break, and you might need a ram. But any tower that doesn't have the fortification that gives them fire armor is going to make it so that you can just torch a tower like this. So 13 torch damage means that you can just break it down pretty much. Yeah, not a lot more to say there. It's also an indicator here that his opponent is looking to get more food. He's not farming. And so if he just denies this, then he can force farms, and thus he will have more units than his opponent because he's eating the map. And his opponent is farming and not investing into military. So getting more ahead that way. Alright, so we see now, this is pretty clever. Getting the walls on the right side here so that he knows that he wants to expand into this direction. This is where he has his berries. This is where he's gonna gather his gold. And so just having one side to defend is a lot easier to defend with walls than it is to defend the entire map. Let's say you went for the boar here and the berries here, and then you gathered gold over here. That would be really, really difficult to defend. So it makes sense to wall this and then get more aggressive. This is very typical feudal aggression. You wall your base, and you won't do that a minimal amount of walling, because otherwise you will be way too vulnerable. So minimal amount of walling. Don't wall too much. It's going to cost you too much. Clever walls like this. That's going to make your economy much safer. Now, he sees that Anatol went Castle Age. So when Anatol goes Castle Age, that's a clear indicator that Anatol did not spend 1800 resources plus oil on units. He spent that on HR. So after the fight they took, there is still going to be a huge difference in unit numbers. And even if his opponent goes cataphracts now, or crossbows or something, he will have the counter. Knights will counter the cataphracts in small numbers, the cataphracts. And the archers will kill spears, they will kill crossbows. So the knights will take the Varangian, the cataphracts, right? It's pretty simple. It's just gonna be a full feudal aggression at this point because his opponent has no units. This is what he sees. His opponent has about 9 Limitonay and 6 javelins. And these 2 javelins here, they can just be they can just be killed now. It takes about 6 javelins to kill an archer. One shot. So with that 1 javelin gone, he can still one-shot, I think, due to his Castle Age upgrade. But if it was feudal, he would definitely not be able to. So a little bit of micro there as well. Just thinning out that javelin number means that they don't one-shot. So that's a thing to keep in mind as well. Now, this was castle upgraded, so it's a bit different. There's more damage coming through from the javelins. But if they were feudal, it wouldn't. They wouldn't be able to one-shot. You need 6 javelins. All right. So that's pretty much, you know, as clean as it's gonna get. And if you want to try this build, I'm gonna show you how to play it now. And yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to go through the build that Marinelord is using, the first 5 minutes-ish, so you guys can see what it looks like, and I'll leave in the description a link to the build order so that you can practice it on your own. So basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to start off by doing your builds, getting your scout out, pretty simple stuff. Then immediately you build a mill. That mill will be where you're queuing wheelbarrow in the beginning. You can have this first villager build a mill and a house. Don't forget to get your sheep a little bit spaced out like this. And then, and then get wheelbarrow queued up, right? Now that we have 7 vills here on food, we can queue wheelbarrow and we can queue vills onto the gold. So you want 4 vills in the gold. Start with 7 on food, then 4 on gold, and then rally back to food until you can age up to feudal age. So pretty simple stuff. Here you can already control group the vills that you want to age up with. So for example, if you're gonna age up with 4 vills, School of Cavalry, just control group 4 of them so that they're easy to get for you later, so you don't have to sit and try to grab it like this. This is a bad way to do it. So just rally onto this. You're gonna get wheelbarrow early now, and we're gonna get pro scouts immediately in feudal age, which is in my opinion, you know, probably like one of the most effective eco builds early. And the reason it works so well is because most people will have spears early when they play against French. And so that first knight will rarely have much to do anyways. And so investing a little bit more to economy while you're getting your archers and maybe your second stable or second archer range is, in my opinion, and as we can see Marinelord do it, just a way better approach to playing French. You get much more economy on economy going later that way, instead of trying to get a quick strike, which will work in lower leagues, but the higher up you go, not so much. So keep that in mind if you do decide to go for like a super fast H-up. That can be a good build, but it's harder and harder to execute. And that's why a lot of people actually struggle with French at the higher level. Alright, so of course now we're about 2 minutes. We have dropped off our first sheep. We want to go down to scout our opponent. So that's what you're going to do now, here between 2 and 3 minutes. Just go around the base. Maybe you're lucky to get some of their safe spawning sheep. Your goal is to H up at 245. So important to get the sheep back so you don't run out of food. If you run out of food, that could be pretty devastating when you play French, because you have a really, really tight macro here early on that allows you to do pro scouts early and the knight early. And if you don't have food, that's going to be pretty rough. So now we can do this. Now we get our School of Cavalry. Very nice. Now we're going to rally onto Straggler Tree, and we're going to shift click it onto the lumber camp, the wood line. And build a lumber camp a bit later. So we're going to rally 5 villagers onto wood. After that, we're going to go up to 12 on food. And then after that, we can macro according to if we're going to go for double stable or double archer range. So you go stable, archer range, and you need 5 on archer range to constantly produce archers. You want more on gold and more on food if you're going to do double stable. You want about 8 to 10 on wood if you're going to do double archer range. So macro accordingly, mess around with it a bit. And it should be pretty straightforward. I recommend going for, especially against like Byzantines, Malians, all these like infantry civs, where it's pretty difficult to do a lot with knights. I recommend going for more archers than you would normally. So second archer range, and against other civs like, let's say Delhi or something, could be worth it to go more knights. But again, it's also a style choice. Get another house now. And just keep gathering the straggler tree. We're going to gather 2 straggler trees here. So I'm going to take back what I said. Having a little bit of idle time here. So, just a second straggler tree. Now rally back to food. Get these guys onto food as well. Now queue up that. Get your wood dropped off so you can get your pro scouts. Pro scouts coming through in a moment. There we are. So now we have pro scouts through. And wheelbarrow. And this is about a 15-second difference, I would say, from playing the standard build to playing with wheelbarrow. So it's pretty strong, I would say. But let's just say we want to go for a bit more archers. We'll go onto wood. We'll queue up 2 scouts now. Or 3. We can do 3 scouts. Just have that first knight together with the first scout. Get your lumber camp. And then you can start raiding with this knight. Again, as I said, you might not find much damage. So the goal is really just to have a bit more control of what your opponent is contesting, whether that's deer or whatever it is. Alright. Now, these guys went to this, which is a bit of a mistake, but it's fine. Now we're going to build an archer range. We have about 8 on wood. I like to go on a little bit more on gold now. Up to you how you want to do it. And now we're going to get our pro scouts through. And we'll go ahead and take these deer. And if you're lucky, you'll also find some damage. Next up is to get a house. Gonna build that now. Try not to lose that one. Drop off here. And now things are looking good. We got knights in queue. We're gonna be queuing archers now, and we're taking the deer. So I feel pretty good about where things are going now. I like to keep 5 on gold per stable, and then just get 1 more for upgrades, maybe 2 more for upgrades. And then if you want to go double stable, just of course keep like 10 to 11 on gold. Alright, so we've got about 7 now. We can rally a bit back to food. Keep doing archers. With 8 on wood and just 1 archer range, you're also gonna slowly bank more and more wood. That wood you can use to build a second archery. You can also use it to you get another stable, blacksmith. Notice here that I took the bills, put them on deer. This is essential that when the deer get back, that you get survival techniques and get on them, of course. Gather the deer. That's the whole point. Especially now because the bills will start to idle a little bit. And now we're just gonna be building as many units as we can. It's a macro exercise at this point in terms of what you're practicing. You're getting your double broadaxe. We're gonna rally a bit back here to wood. And now, with that extra wood, we can build a second stable or second archer range. And that's pretty much the build order. There's not a lot more to it. It looks like this, and it's pretty simple. You're not going to be doing a lot of aggression early. You're going to be focusing on taking deers first, and then you can look to play for a timing if you want to. So yeah, I recommend if your opponent is going Castle Age, that you, if you want to do a timing, that you kind of stop with the archers after 10 archers. That you instead start doing more of a, what should I say, more knights, because then you'll be able to counter Castle Age units. So I had to think there. So yeah, second stable, and then if our opponent is going to go Castle Age, I would then go heavier onto the, what's it called? The gold. If you see something like this, you know, you just kill it, and if you take damage, then you go for chivalry. So after your first fight, let's say you kill 3 spears, and now you have 2 super low health knights. That's actually quite normal. Just get your chivalry that way. Remacro a bit here. Like so. Don't lose your scout. Just take these fights, heal up, because now you're ahead, you didn't lose anything. And this is kind of essential to winning with French, as we saw in the replay of Marinelord. Alright, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you liked it, go ahead and like, and if you're not subscribed, check out the channel, subscribe to it. I also do memberships on this channel, and yeah, if you have any comments to this video, leave them down in the comment section. Alright, peace.